Paracord. What was once used for parachutes has now become a service member's multi-tool. From rope to dental floss, the Paracord has become one of the most used items the military has to offer.
We're nerding out pretty hard on this. They do have actual magazines.
Yay. Being in a war zone and just being like, gotta open my beans. Military song. Sweeney Todd.
Like, you ever play Hitman? This is pretty much the garrote wire on Hitman. You go like this, and then you like...
It would work. 550 pounds worth?
Well, yeah, 550 pounds.
550 pounds.
This is Paracord. We're talking about the Paracord today. Let's say in the military, paracord or 550 cord, because each strand is supposed to hold 550 pounds. Paracord is synonymous with 100-mile-an-hour tape, which is another name for duct tape. That's just green duct tape that we use.
I forgot about that tape.
100-mile-per-hour tape.
Yeah,
you know why it's called 100-mile-per-hour tape?
No.
Because 100 miles an hour is high speed.
These names, anything they can name things.
For a lot of us in the military, paracord is one of those multi-tool items almost. These are these consumables that you can use them for anything. Each strand with the internal structure intact is supposed to hold 550 pounds, and this particular paracord is supposed to be used for parachutes.
Yep.
And so it's a very durable string. There's a lot that we could talk about today. You know, what exactly can we use paracord for?
I think I've used 550 cord when my weapon sling broke. Boot laces.
You could string them on the bottom of your magazines. So today we'll talk about 10 things that you could use paracord for.
And not just military-oriented things. All of these 10 things work in the civilian world as well. You could use it if you wanted to.
If you're just looking at this as a thing to hold something that is not 550 pounds, let's say like it's only a 20-pound object, it's actually harder for the knot to bite if it's fully intact. So I wanted to talk about disassembling the 550 cord, or unpacking the 550 cord first.
Let's do it.
And as we are doing this the military way, I have a super salty, super used up deployment Gerber.
Yep.
That it looks like I have a lot of chippage on the blade, but it will work. So take your 550 cord, you see there's an external sheath and an internal sheath. You can actually remove all the internal guts from this location. And here you go. This is a disassembled and unpacked 550. The one that's colored, it bears a little bit more weight than the others.
Why is that? Why would they just put a random, like, who's that for?
Josh likes to ask questions in the military.
I have to, yeah, that's why I was picked on the whole time.
So when you take your outer sheath is just as important as the inner sheath when it comes to using stuff for stuff. You use your outer sheath and then you use a lighter. You sort of melt the outside a little bit. You find a flat surface, top it onto, and it gives you a nice, even, lovely, crispy end like that. Way easier to use, way easier to tie into knots. And let's say you had a magazine, you could take the floor plate out, put it inside the floor plate, and then you've got a nice pull tab on top of it. Nice. So when you're pulling it out of magazine pouches and stuff, it's a lot easier.
Easily accessible.
You could also use this as a lanyard, as a dummy cord for optics. You see that a lot. Mm-hmm. You know, guys will tie this around stuff that they don't want it to fall out of their pockets. Let's say a compass. That's a good one, because a compass, typically you have to bring it out and use it to shoot an azimuth. You put the compass back in. You want to have the compass dummy corded to your kit So where you pull it out, you use it, and you put it back in, because when you're in the field, there's this mystical black hole that somehow conjugates around you, and you start losing things.
Yep.
If you lose a compass, something small.
I think you can even go buy one of those.
Yeah. Now, if you lose your nods in the field, and you didn't have it dummy corded,
Which, if you don't know what nods are, they're the infrared.
they're night vision.
Yeah, night vision goggles.
Yeah, so if you lose your PVS-14 nods,
Son, rest in peace.
R.I.P.
we'll be closing down the base. You and your entire unit will be canvassing the location to look for that particular piece of sensitive item.
I have had to do it once, and it was terrible. I didn't lose it. Someone else lost it, but we all paid the price.
So when you learn the hard way, you learn to dummy cord things. And when you dummy cord things, you definitely want the sheath of the 550 cord gutted, so no internal strands, because it's a lot easier to tie things down with. And of course, you're not looking at tying 550 pounds worth of a lensatic compass down. So, I used to carry a set of survival lockpicks. For reasons. I liked having a survival lockpick, a set of survival lockpicks.
You never
with me.
know.
And I used to use the cord right here, and I would hide the lockpicks inside and just put it in my wallet. And nobody knew what it was, and it wouldn't go anywhere. I just covered the lockpicks, and it just
Sneaky sneak.
yeah.
All right.
That's another use of of 550 cord, is that you could use it to sheath over small objects and sort of protect them a little bit. The non-explosive tripwire. You could also do things that are signaling devices in an alternative way. So you tie up your tripwire, you had a small object, you put it inside, and you put your tripwire, and if somebody walks by, something loud, you can hear that something is crossing into your sector. So that's how it works as a tripwire.
Perfect thing to keep in mind for the zombie invasion.
So let's talk about one other way that you could use this is a tourniquet. Let's say Josh is
I'm hit!
and we need to cut off the flow of blood so we can save his limb or save his life and then hopefully save his limb.
That would be nice.
Go ahead and tie a weight-bearing knot right here. And then what we want to do is take some type of a vertical object and create a windlass. What a windlass does is it starts to restrict the actual cord.
Oh, yo, that's tight.
Oh!
Oh, that works. It works.
Yeah,
Wow.
That is
yeah,
how
that's-
you make a field expedient tourniquet. Clotheslines. I mean, that's actually those are something, the more pedestrian things that people don't think of, because it's really annoying when you're in a location and you have wet clothing in the field and you're trying to dry it. You just want something to dry it. And of course, you can't light a fire or anything. And so
Say Afghanistan, we used 550 cord as clotheslines.
And of course, that's a pretty easy deployment. You just take the 550 pounds of cord, tie it off on one end, tie it off on the other end, make sure it's
Clothesline.
taut, and then you can use it to hang clothes. You could use these to fish with if you had the hook at the end. So this could turn into something that could feed you in the long run.
So you can also use it to tie stuff together for transport. So that definitely, you could, if you're going to a beach and you got your surfboard and you have no way to tie it to the top of your car,
Guess what?
this right here would work. You could definitely make that work, putting it through your windows and stuff like that, because it'll hold it down. So, and that will pretty much go for a lot of different things. 550 pounds, of course, being the limit.
And so one thing to keep in mind, if you were looking at tying stuff down, because you need it taut, you need it tight against itself, you saw how I used the multi-tool as a windlass. I mean, all you have to do, you need to take something that is straight, that is sort of strong enough, probably not a plastic lighter. You're probably going to break this trying to tighten a super 550-pound weight-bearing little piece of rope. But if you find something that you could use to start turning, then you add tension to it, and that really tightens it up. It's almost like a ratchet strap.
You can also use it. This is a great civilian use. You can use this as a dog leash.
I would be careful to not choke your dog out.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't put the bare thing on there. You'd probably have to build a collar out of it, which is another use. You can build that. There's a lot of building uses, especially if you actually passed, Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, and you actually know how to do all these knots. You can make hammocks. You can do leashes. Like accessories to use. And then if you're out in the field or you're camping and it's just been a long time and you've been out there, you can also use this part as dental floss.
What?
Boy, be careful.
Okay, maybe this. Look at this, because it's got a bunch of inner strands.
Again.
Yeah, let's see if I could pull the inner threads off.
Can you?
I bet that's it. Because look. Once see this, when you unravel it,
it's definitely more doable. That's for sure.
it's not waxed and it's not mint. It works. But you have to so the inner cords, because they're in strands of 3, you have to unravel the inner cord into the base string.
Yeah, and that's where some of these uses end up being more last resort uses. Like this is if you're in the middle of nowhere, you are lost and can't get home, but you have some 550 cord. There's some things you can do in order to kind of make it a little bit better.
Probably not something our colleagues in the Air Force would be doing, but they would not be in the field in the first place, right?
Oh. Too busy playing Frisbee for PT.
I'll be honest, I would love playing Frisbee for PT.
That was the only reason I was mad about it.
It's jealousy.
Oh, I've also seen soldiers use these as bootlaces when we were deployed, and someone messed up their bootlace. It looks messed up from the uniform perspective, so it doesn't it's not going to be with an AR-670-1. But it works if you're in the field. If you need something to keep your boots together, you can use paracord.
Yeah, last ditch effort for sure.
Yeah. And I will say there's one other use for paracord. You use it in parachutes. Of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Paracord.
That's where it all started.
And there you have it. 550 cord, 550 because the weight that it can bear, and paracord because of the actual use of it in parachutes. But really, much more than that.
So we appreciate you guys coming and watching this video. If you guys have any comments, any sort of ideas for future episodes, please make sure that you leave it below and we will try to get to it.
If you guys have any other ideas or have any other experiences in the field for how you use paracord, we also love to hear from you. So please comment down below. Let us know if you have any fun stories or fun ways of using paracord, or maybe not even fun, just useful ways.
We'd love to hear them.
If you guys out there are veterans or family members of veterans or friends of veterans who know a veteran needs any type of help or assistance out here in Harris County, we'd love to hear from you as well. You can contact us and look for us on our website, www.harrisvet.com, or on any social media outlet. If you would like to call in or speak to a VSO who could help you with claims and benefits, feel free to give us a call at 281-876-6600. I think I want to end this episode because we do these things because we want to talk to veterans more. Well, of course, we do these things because we love playing with stuff that we used to use. But most importantly, we want to have a dialogue with people out there, and especially guys who, like us, we went to Afghanistan, we come back, the world is a little bit different. We're transitioning from a wartime military to a peacetime military, and things are just changing its pace. And look, if you're having a hard time with stuff out there, we'd love to help you. If you're going through crisis, remember there's always the Veterans Crisis Line. All you have to do is pick up the phone, dial 988, option number 1. The world is better with you in it, believe it or not. And you can only realize that if you're still around to experience the world. So that phone number again for the Veterans Crisis Line is 988, and you select option number 1. And someone who on the other line could pick up and help you out in a time of crisis. But with everything else, with life as a veteran here in Harris County, we're here for you guys as not your one-stop shop, but your one-start shop in Harris County.